Hey Freedom Lovers, this is Dr. Peterson Pierre with America's Frontline Doctors bringing you today's Daily Dose. According to a new report published in the Journal of Political Economy on October 7th, drug studies sponsored by drug manufacturers tend to report higher drug efficacy than studies not sponsored by the drug company. The report found a sponsorship effect that tends to bias sponsored studies toward reporting higher drug efficacies. The author could not find differences in study design between those funded by drug companies and those not. Tamar Ostrom, an assistant professor of economics at Ohio State University and study author, said, quote, "Removing the sponsorship effect would reduce the difference in efficacy by about 50%. This effect was larger than I expected. My results suggest that sponsored arms of trials should be discounted substantially. If some of the results from a clinical trial are biased, patients may be taking a less effective drug for them, or they may be taking a drug when alternate treatment might be more beneficial." End quote. Her research analyzed the published papers of 509 trials and 1,215 treatment arms, which is basically groups of participants. Most of the trials were published after the drug gained FDA approval. About 75% were for antidepressants, which, as I've covered in the past, is one of the most lucrative drugs out there, with the remaining quarter for antipsychotic medications. Quote, "My paper is the first to examine the effect of financial sponsorship on outcomes by directly comparing a large set of trials in which the exact same arms are tested with differing financial interests." End quote. Ostrom examined two main types of drug trials: drugs that are compared to placebos and drugs that are compared to other drugs. She found that the effect of drug company sponsorship was more pronounced in placebo trials. Obviously, there are multiple payoffs for results that favor a drug's efficacy. Quote, "Trials in which the manufacturer's drug appears more effective are more likely to be published." End quote. These published trials can be used in marketing to physicians. Prescriptions also tend to increase in response to favorable clinical trials. A 2023 study found that when a clinical trial significantly favors a drug, quote, "there is a large and immediate increase in demand," end quote. Dr. Chad Savage, an internal medicine specialist, chimes in, quote, "Multiple attempts have been made over the years to counter this effect, such as requiring financial disclosures from authors, but none have succeeded in fully eradicating the bias that can exist. This bias often stems from the, quote, self-preservation instincts of researchers who are in a constant quest for funding or possibly facing unemployment. Solving this problem is challenging. One potential solution is to return to the principle of reproducibility, a cornerstone of science. If a finding is valid, it should be replicable through multiple studies conducted by different researchers with diverse funding sources and published in different journals." End quote. Ladies and gentlemen, only the truth will set you free. Stay tuned for the next Daily Dose.